Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Melany Hope, and I have a lapel mic on today. This is a heart-to-heart today. I've been doing several of these instead of doing the full podcast. The reason is because we are on track to have the Quantum Status full podcast fully back in operation, but we are also bringing new things in. Some of them are very exciting. And I want to share all of those things with you, but I've also wanted to make sure that it would be as comfortable as possible for the other people who are coming on board and the parts that they have to play in this. I also want to break down what the quantum status movement actually is and what you will be looking at. If you're following my podcasts, posts, etc., you'll see that I'm not really advertising anything. Yes, I am a quantum energy practitioner, but I'm not really advertising my services. What I'm doing is I'm encouraging you to step up and see yourself from a different perspective and in a different light. This is probably the most important thing that any of us can do, is get past our shame and guilt complexes. When we get past our shame and guilt, when we get past any part of us that is not being compassionate and merciful to ourselves, loving to ourselves, then we can start really moving forward into a deeper understanding of how to show compassion and empathy toward each other. And this is what I do. I present perspectives and understandings of who we are as human beings and the way that energy works, so that we can all develop a very healthy value system for ourselves and start creating standards that will keep narcissists out of our lives, that will keep negative influences out of our lives, etc., etc. The main goal is to develop as much of a compassionate, empathetic-based society as humanly possible. There will be different parts of quantum status that will be emerging soon. We will have an environmentalist type video that will be done soon by another person. We will have different ways where we can support our environment and support each other as entrepreneurs that will be coming forward. Those of you, most of you are entrepreneurs, self-made, and running your own businesses and whatnot, affiliates, MLM, you name it. You are in some kind of a freedom-based trajectory at this point in time. You're really wanting to step forward in your power and become who you believe you are meant to be. Guys, I noticed that this camera angle is a little bit distorted. Sorry about that, but I'll do my best here. Let's see if I can adjust it here. No, it's not going to go fully back. So I'll work on that this week. Anyways, why is it so important to have such a high value of your self-worth? Because in society, we are actually shamed for having a healthy ego. Now, speaking from a spiritual perspective, not a religious one, a spiritual one, which is a deeper knowledge of yourself and a higher level of consciousness. The whole idea of guilt and shame and all of these things are part of your programming. In society, there is something that takes the place of a healthy self-worth. And we are taught that if you are proud of yourself, then you're prideful. Nothing could be more wrong. Not being proud of yourself is actually a form of manipulation, which causes you to judge people and become inherently more controlling than you would be if you did have a high value of yourself. So these are areas that absolutely have to be addressed in our society. And the only way to do it is to present it from a different perspective, because the personal development coaches, although they are bringing forth gratitude and self-worth, these sorts of things, they are not fully addressing the need for self-compassion and self-empathy. They're talking about your why, not you being the why. And this is a massive, major problem in our society, because once again, it's teaching you to take your focus off of yourself and to put it into other places. Now, this really, really keeps us from being able to do what we need to do for ourselves and for humanity. Because when we are putting our energy outside of ourselves all of the time, constantly dishing it out, we are doing that naturally, but because we're giving away our power, that's what I call it, giving away your energy, giving away your power. Because we are doing that willingly, other people are then getting energetic permission to feed off of it. So you are becoming more and more and more depleted. There is no one that's actually replenishing you, because you're not being taught that you have to replenish yourself. Guys, I'm not talking about the big fancy house. I'm not talking about the Lamborghini. I'm not talking about the vacations and the beach getaways and the hot girls and hot guys and, you know, wherever you want to go with that. That's not what I'm addressing here. I'm talking about having a healthy self-worth, a healthy self-ego, and understanding that there is so much more to you than you have ever been taught. We're going into a time where even animals are becoming more evolved and more conscious. So you can see it all over the internet, how incredibly intelligent these pets who've never really been trained to do these things are. They just simply have started doing them. Cats drinking out of water coolers, dogs hopping on a rocking horse and rocking themselves. I mean, we could go on and on here. But the whole point of this is you have to be very brave. I'm learning in this society that you have to be very, very brave, because you have to learn how to defeat fear. Defeating fear, oh, hold on, my sunlight's off now. Sorry about that, guys. You have to be able to defeat fear. Defeating fear is one of the hardest things that we will ever come up against. And you cannot defeat fear without having a very, very, very strong self-worth. Most people would think that I'm talking about a fantasy type thing when I say defeating fear. I'm not. I'm actually completely dead serious. It is possible to defeat your fear, and it is possible to manifest whatever you want in your life. But because you are desiring manifestation and then you are battling fear, you are actually creating an opposing force. So although you may manifest what you want, you might manifest the house, you might manifest the car, you might manifest all of these things in your life, you are actually creating an opposing force at the same time. So as you are receiving what you want, you are also having a force coming from behind you that is knocking that off balance. So as you are becoming more fulfilled materialistically, you are actually becoming less fulfilled energetically. These are hard principles to actually accept, because our society teaches you that materialism is really all that there is. And they tell you that success is what you have, not really who you are. Nothing could be further from the truth. If you want to manifest, you really truly have to change what is inside and go outside of that to see what is inside. So whatever you see around you is an imprint on your hologram of what you are creating in your subconscious. That is truly what you're battling, is what is within you, not what is outside of you. So learning how to love what is within you is truly the secret. And that is what quantum status is all about. Understanding that you are in a quantum state. No level of resistance that you create will ever be met with anything but the same level of resistance. And it will actually become worse over time. So, the quantum status movement is about creating healthy self-worth. It's about truly coming to terms with who you are as an individual and becoming who you truly want to be, but on a higher level. And the secret to this is compassion. It's not what you think, it's not what you've been taught. Compassion. Because when we show compassion, we completely remove any opposing force. Showing aggression, forcing people, controlling people, putting others into a do this or else state is actually creating an opposing force against you. So whether you're an entrepreneur who's out there trying to get people to purchase your products, or you're someone who is actively trying to control other people, relationships, etc., you are actually working in reverse. You are actually working against yourself. The only way to completely eliminate resistance is by showing compassion. And here comes the, I can feel it, you know, psychically and energetically, everybody's saying, but what about the people who are doing this to me? Okay, let's talk about the people who are doing this to you or that to you. These are people who are there to teach you something about yourself. As hard as it is to accept this, it's true. So every time that you get into a competitive state with someone else, you're actually creating a competitive state with yourself. Every time you get into a judgmental situation where you're judging someone else, you're actually judging yourself. This is quantum physics. This is how it works. What is within you will manifest without of you. So it's not easy. It is not easy. But when you can learn how to forgive yourself for whatever you are going through, whatever has happened in your life, don't blame yourself for it. Forgive yourself for it. When you do that, then you start developing a healthy self-worth, self-love for your, for you. This is not about your kids. This is not about your job. This is not about your husband. This is not about your wife. This is not about your relationship or lack thereof or your friends. This is not about anyone but you, because ultimately anything that is manifesting outside of you is an indication that there are things going on inside. Now, some people will take this a step further, and they'll say that your work, problems with your work, problems with your environment, problems with your financial situation, these are all because of problems with you. Now, this is kind of the more personal development side of it. So they say gratitude for everything, and I do agree with that to a degree, but there are some times where we are not actually capable until we've reached that gamma brain wave, or I would prefer to call it cell wave or body wave state, the vibration that we're emitting, where we are at that level where we can defeat the pain and the anger that we are feeling inside enough to truly feel gratitude through our entire bodies. See, it's not enough to simply think gratitude. You have to put yourself into a state where your electromagnetic energy is being produced on a higher level in order for gratitude to work against resistance, to basically eliminate resistance. This is why compassion is a higher vibration than gratitude. That might sound a little bit off, and there are some people who would definitely disagree with me on this one. But when we show compassion, we are taking responsibility for showing ourselves compassion as well. Because if we can show somebody else something, we more than likely can show it to ourselves too. We're in a society where we keep going outside of ourselves to fix things, and it simply is not realistic. A lot of these things have been hid from us. A lot of these things have not been brought fully to the forefront. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people like me who have created programs, who are mentors like myself, but they charge a lot of money. And there are not a lot of people who can get into those programs. And when they do get into those programs, most of them are so stressed out, so tired, so worn out, because they had to work so hard to get into those programs. I see you, Christy. Because they had to work so hard to get there that they feel like they're owed something once they get there. So they are already creating resistance with what they're given. We have to stop creating resistance. I've used this analogy before. It's like trying to scooch something heavy across the floor, a granular floor or a carpet. The harder you push, the more resistance you have. If you try to scooch something slowly across the carpet, you're going to have more luck than if you just push as hard as you can. Unless it's got, a smooth bottom and there is absolutely zero resistance and it's not that heavy. But you understand what I'm saying. If you don't want the wind to blow in your face, don't speed up. If you are in a place in your life where you are struggling and you are having maybe a lot of guilt issues or shame issues, those are the first things that have to go. Those are the first things that have to be cleared out. You are magnificent. You are a magnificent being. Guilt and shame is a lie. It's a lie. So first of all, showing compassion for yourself is where it starts. And then from there, you can genuinely feel gratitude for who you are. So first of all, you genuinely feel compassion for yourself. Then you genuinely feel empathy for yourself. Then you genuinely feel gratitude for who you are, the magnificent being that you are. And from there, you can go into an adaptation of self-worth. I call it self-worth adaptation. And that's what I mentor in. Is getting you to a place where you can love every aspect of yourself and then get into a higher level of consciousness where you truly can come to terms with everything outside of yourself simply being another aspect of you, so you can learn to show compassion and love to everything around you, whether it's an animal or nature, which is a big part of the quantum status movement. There is no power over structure. There is no control here. Animals are sacred, just like people are sacred. A human life is sacred. An animal's life is sacred. Even the earth, Gaia. There is too much that has been kept from us. There is too much history that people don't know. And that was one of Winston Churchill's quotes, actually, where he said, the only thing that is new on Earth is the history that we don't know. Now, I do not fully agree with him. I think there are many new things on Earth. I think Solomon was wrong, and I think that Winston Churchill was wrong. But when he talks about the history that we don't know, that's the true key to our liberation as human beings here on Earth. And there's a lot of things we don't know. It's time to step out of the box. It's time to look beyond what you've been told, what you've been taught. And that's what the quantum status movement is about. It's about teaching you to find your self-worth, love yourself, show compassion for yourself, show empathy for yourself, and kindness for yourself. And then to go outside of that and start doing the same for the rest of humanity. If you are in alignment with this, please support us. I do have an Instagram now for the quantum status movement. I believe it's under quantum status. I will be posting all of those links in the future. We do have a YouTube channel now. There's not a lot posted there, but you can go there and you can watch all of the quantum status podcasts as soon as I have them all uploaded. I'm still in the process of doing that. The other thing is there will be an environmental video that starts showing up on the quantum status movement page, as well as it will be distributed between the quantum status movement page, the quantum status marketing page, and the quantum status goddess page, as well as quantum status Lemurian healing or Melany Hope, a quantum energy practitioner. So if you want to support us, we also have a patron page. If you like what you're seeing, if you're finding that it's connecting with you, intuition, guys, this is where it's at. This is how we learn to love ourselves. We learn to feel. We get out of our mind. We get into our heart. It's a hard place to be because there's a lot of past life trauma. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of struggle. There's a lot of things that are still in our heart, even from this lifetime, that it's very hard, especially for men and people who have gone through extreme amounts of abuse, men, women, etc., to get into their heart center. But that is where your true power is. That is where your multidimensional power is, where you can go from a 3D consciousness into the 4D consciousness into a 5D and above consciousness. So straight into your gamma body wave state or cell wave state. These things are all very possible, but you are not being taught how to do them in a realistic way. Hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of meditation on a mountaintop is not realistic in our society. And we can bypass all of it by learning self-worth adaptation, which is basically self-love, not in a narcissistic way, but in a true appreciation for who we are way. Deep love as stewards, like our body is the child and our consciousness is the mother or parent of that child. This is powerful, powerful stuff. It's hard to come forward with this stuff. It's not easy. But this is the real deal, guys. And we can do this. And once we do, we can actually skip all of those hours of meditation, and our bodies will start to love us back. And we can start to actually experience gamma cell wave consciousness. Hard to believe? Yeah, it's a little hard to believe, but it's true. And once you reach that place, all of these things around you that seem so incredibly overwhelming, stressful, took you to a place where you just did not want to be. Fear-based, terror-based, lack-based, limitation-based, financially based. All of these things start to go away because you transcend it all and you see life for what it really is. You might see the pain and the hurt and suffering around you, but you embrace it and you love it. You give it love. You give it compassion. You eliminate any resistance that you have with it, and it leaves your life. This is true. Hard to believe, but true. This level of deprogramming is not easy to do. You walk outside, you get your bills in the mail, you have challenging people that you deal with. And that to you is your reality, but that is only your reality because you have created so much resistance to things. When you learn how to release that resistance and let it go and develop this level of self-worth, then you start to understand that you are worthy, truly worthy. You tolerate far less than you ever did before. And you start attracting your soul family. You start attracting the people who truly love your vibration. And you love theirs. So, without further ado here, I'm going to hop off. And I also wanted to say, I made a post about why we would never allow ourselves to be taken advantage of. So give our services away for free, etc., etc., etc. This is why. When you understand your self-worth, you understand that there is truly nothing outside of you. And then you're not giving these things, away. Okay, guys. Namaste. I love you all. Life is calling. So this was a heart-to-heart. Gratitude always. Sorry to run.